Hello everyone, Silent here, and welcome back to another episode of Bug Rock. The most recent Bedrock beta, 1.18.30.23 is here. It introduces the Allay along with Shulker cloning and a ton of other amazing features as well. Today's beta truly is massive. No matter who you are, there is a bug fix in this beta that affects you and that will make your life better, so make sure to watch until the end because there is a lot of goodies. We also know that the Warden is coming soon, TM2 Bedrock Edition, probably in the next couple of betas, but otherwise, let's talk about the Allays. There is a lot of stuff to cover. You can find the Allay in two different places in the Minecraft world, the first of which is within these little cages at the Pillager Outpost. Sometimes the Pillager Outpost has like 3 different cages. This is by far going to be the best way of getting the Allay. The second place that you can find the Allay is within these prison rooms inside of the Woodland Mansion. So these are going to be, of course, way rarer. However, there's actually 7 Allays in this little room right here. There's 2 in this one. There is 2 in this one right here. There's another Allay in this one, and then there's yet even more Allays over here. So if you want to get a ton of Allays, this actually is not a bad place for it, and I love how they're actually utilizing the prisons. Previously, there was absolutely nothing in here, so actually a very good place for it. You don't really need to worry about transporting the Allays, because if you give them an item, then they're going to simply follow you around. As you can see, I gave all 4 of these guys a diamond, and now they're basically going to follow me, which is actually a really cool mechanic. So now you can just bring these guys around with you wherever you go. And now for some experimentation, we have a whole bunch of Allays in there, and if I move far enough away from them, they are not going to be able to leave that box. So even though I gave them an item, they're not going to teleport to me or anything like that. Because of their holding mechanics, you cannot put a lead on them since they just kind of pick it up and hold it. However, what you can do is actually get them into a boat or a minecart by throwing an item down a hole, and then oftentimes they will get into the boat if you have it up like this. So on to the important stuff, using Allays to sort items for you. You can link an Allay to a note block just by activating the note block. They will remember this note block for 30 seconds, and if they pick up an item and have something in their inventory, they will just kind of yeet it at the note block, and it has a fair-ish chance of landing in hoppers if you surround it. Obviously, you can optimize the system by containing the Allay. I broke the game. Is it just duplicating items right now? Let's find out. Come here, Allay, come here. It's hunting season. Let's see, how many arrows did it drop? 2. It didn't dupe items, but it did try. So the Allay has several different mechanics when it comes to picking up items. When you first see one, you can hand it an item in survival. That'll actually take one of the item. If you kill it, you get it back. And then if you throw any amount of that item on the ground, it will pick it up and throw it to you or to a note block. So if we throw down a whole stack of diamonds, this guy is going to come pick it up and then throw us a whole stack of diamonds. Look at that. Ah, beautiful. Now, sometimes they're kind of picking up the diamonds themselves. That's kind of a thing that needs to be worked out right now. But as you can see, it's really trying. Now these guys fly around a lot, so it's kind of hard to chase them down. So what you want to do is throw an item on the ground to get their attention, and then as they come over, you can click on them again to get the item back. And now it's not actually tied to anything. If an Allay doesn't have anything in its inventory, it's not going to follow you. So be careful, these guys will just kind of wander off. They can wander very far as well since they can fly, so be careful about that. You might lose your Allays. We now have really good tool, weapon, and armor sorting using the Allays. So this one has a diamond sword. It looks menacing. If we throw another diamond sword on the ground, it'll pick it up and throw it at us. So now we can sort any weapon, armor, or tool in the entire game, which is fantastic. We can also sort things like totems of undying or crossbows from a raid farm using this exact mechanic. However, this system does have limitations. It does not read MBT data. So as you can see, this one has a sharpness 5 sword, and that does not mean that it's only going to pick up sharpness 5 swords. It'll pick up any diamond sword. So for example, if you give an Allay a potion, it's going to pick up any potion in the game and throw that at you. So we do not have a potion sorting using Allays. Unfortunately, we don't have enchantment book sorting using them either. If we give this guy a protection 1 enchantment, he's going to pick up any enchantment book in the game and throw that to us. And it also doesn't work for things like tipped arrows either. If we give this guy any arrow, he's going to pick up any tipped arrow in the game and then continue to throw that at us as well. I feel like it shouldn't differentiate between the different types of tipped arrow, because if you throw a single arrow on the ground and a tipped arrow, it's going to try and pick up both of those, and it only has the one inventory slot. So then it gets into an issue like this, where it's continuously trying to pick up an item that it technically should be able to pick up, but it can't because it doesn't stack with the item that it already has. So as of right now, the Allays are fantastic at sorting various non-stackable items like tools, weapons, and armor, and general items like enchantment books, potions, and some other items. So basically, you can have a pretty alright non-stackable item sorter, but you can't separate things like enchantment books from one another. Even in its current state, this is still going to basically revolutionize non-stackable item sorting on Bedrock Edition and on Java, so I am incredibly happy that these guys are still in the game. These guys do have a fair amount of health. You can either punch them 16 times to kill them or hit them twice with a diamond sword. Even if you have sharpness 5 netherite, it still takes 2 hits, so you have a little bit of time before they die at the very least. Of course, this is also a living mob. It takes damage from harming potions, and healing potions heal it. As far as I can tell, there is no way to breed the Allay or tame it, so what you get from the Pillager Outpost in the mansion is gonna be basically it. If you're still not sold on the Allay, then check out my video on the upper right about the best uses for the Allay. As far as I can tell, everything in that video is still actually accurate to what we have in the current betas, so you can use them for a lot of things, especially a farm item collection. These guys could save you tons of resources. I do wish that there was a renewable way of getting the Allay. For such a useful mob and such a cute looking mob, we definitely need to be able to breed these guys or get them somehow. We need to be able to farm Allays. Personally, I think being able to breed them would be perfectly fine. Many other rare animals in the games like parrots and pandas and axolotls can be very time consuming to find in the wild, but then once you got a couple of them, you can breed them and get infinite of them. So I feel like a breeding mechanic for the Allays is in order. The Sculk and Sculk Catalyst has gotten some major upgrades and improvements in this beta as well, including a lot of parity for Java Edition. So now when a mob dies around it, it'll have these nice cool little soul bubbles, and these things will actually be what charges up the area and spreads more Sculk. So the more experience a mob drops, the more Sculk will be spread. So for example, if we kill a creeper within 8 blocks of a catalyst, that is going to give us 5 additional Sculk blocks because it dropped 5 experience. A blaze would give us 10 additional blocks, and then a brute will give us 20 because it drops 20 experience. And it's kind of crazy just to watch that spread. You can still farm these Sculk veins, Sculk sensors, and shriekers using this mechanic. If you want to get the sensors and shriekers, the charge from a mob dying needs to like expire and decay within 4 blocks of the Sculk catalyst. It's a little bit hard to do, but as you can see, after killing a bunch of mobs in the area, we have ourselves a handful of Sculk sensors, and I did get a Sculk shrieker, although I'm not exactly sure how that happened. There's a whole giant list of changes with Sculk, bringing it in parity with Java Edition that you can see on screen right now. We've also had some changes to the Sculk sensor, so now when it is waterlogged, it won't make any noises when activated. And also you can see that the little redstone particles actually turn purple and blue, which is a very interesting little detail that I haven't noticed before. I don't have any resource packs on. Wool occlusion has also been added to Bedrock Edition as well, so now you can use wool to block vibrations from activating these sensors. This is going to be critical in the deep dark cities, and of course placing and breaking wool does not activate these sensors. Now I have noticed that if you completely surround it like this, you can place blocks in these areas and it won't activate it unless you place a block to the south of it, in which case it still activates it. So it's somewhat directional as of now, but that is just a bug. And now for the bug fixes of this beta, which include shulker cloning, iron farms, villagers, fire, and oh so much more. There's also been some changes to the touch controls for mobile. I don't play mobile myself, but I have seen some good feedback to this on Twitter. So if you play on mobile and you've been able to try out these new settings, then let us know what you think in the comments down below. There's been a minor change to iron farms as well. So now they will actually actually be able to spawn in, quote, underground areas, meaning that iron farms with multiple spawn platforms will now be useful again. Previously, they wouldn't spawn if there was a solid block above them. They fixed the cursed scaffolding, so if you place a scaffolding at Y0, it's just gonna fall like normal now. Previously, it would stay floating there, and it was actually kind of cool. There's also been a bug fix to fire, which is probably gonna result in a lot of buildings burning down. So now fire that exists while fire tech is turned off will continue to burn if you turn on fire spreads. So now that we've turned on fire spreads, this entire tree is gonna burn down. In absolutely massive news, Shulker cloning has been added to Minecraft Bedrock Edition. I kind of predicted this in the last Bug Rock episode, but it is finally here. So whenever a Shulker hits another Shulker using their Shulker bullets, that Shulker has a chance of cloning itself. As you can see, we had one guy up there, and now we got 4 of them. So I'll be having a Shulker farm out on this rather soon. They're a little bit complicated, and of course, that requires you to actually move around Shulkers. But this is an absolutely huge thing for Bedrock Edition. We've been missing this since 1.17. Now, Shulker shells are actually renewable in vanilla survival without any form of cheats or anything. It's just going to take you a little bit of effort to actually put together a farm. I hear you, Shulker farm soon. Calm down, don't start a riot. There's also been a small bug fix to mobs picking up items, and now there's actually a little animation. The item will be kind of sucked into the mob when it's being picked up. This is in parity with Java Edition. We've had some slight changes to the glow lichen. It can now be placed on any type of leaf in the game, which is going to make for some great decorations. It kind of looks like little berries, maybe like grapevines or something like that. Decorators delight. This beta also brings another huge bug fix for building that we've all been waiting for a long time. You can now place a variety of things on top of trapdoors. This is amazing for shelves and just a billion different ways of decorating. So you can now place all types of torches, lanterns, candles, the stone cutter, potted plants, item frames, levers, and buttons on the tops of trapdoors. Of course, if you flick these, then some of these things will pop off, of course. And if the trapdoor is vertical, then you can also place glow lichen, tripwires, buttons, torches, levers, etc. on their faces. Again, if you flick these, then these things might pop off, and none of these changes have been applied to the door. So you can't place torches on doors, for example. You also cannot place ladders on the backsides of these at the moment, and you cannot place a pickle on top of the trapdoor at the moment either. This is still an absolutely huge change that we've really needed on Bedrock Edition for a long time. We also have some refinements to the azalea bushes. They will now get flown away by water, which is actually pretty convenient for a variety of things, including farms, and the lily pads will also get flown away by water now too. There's also been a bug fix to command blocks. Previously, certain commands would affect you across all dimensions. So if you had a command block in the overworld, that could give you an effect in the nether or the end dimension, but now it is locked to the dimension that the command block is within. So if you rely on any command blocks that affect you across all dimensions, you're going to need to set up one of those systems in every dimension, which is a little bit unfortunate, but again, it also allows for more customization. This beta also fixes a really annoying redstone bug. If you're not aware, observers can actually face a double chest, and then they will read the inventory of that double chest and send out a pulse whenever there is a change to that inventory. Incredibly convenient. However, it used to be that whenever you would reload this chunk or relog, that observer would send out a pulse, basically breaking any form of complicated logic systems. However, this bug has now been fixed, so the observer should only send out a pulse when there's an actual change within this inventory. There's also been a terrible change to villagers. Villagers can no longer trade with you while they're on fire. This completely ruins all my plans for my newest villager trading hall design. If the villager has fire resistance, then it can still trade. And honestly, this is a great way to have a villager trading hall. Mojang has also fixed another absolutely huge bug on Bedrock Edition that's been affecting everybody invisibly for years. Essentially, everything in the game that grows has been growing half as quickly as it should. So all crops, cactus, saplings, grass spreading, dripstones growing, chorus growing, and sugarcane growing going is now going to be twice as fast as it was before, and this is the proper speed that it should be. I think that cauldrons filling up with water and lava should be twice as quick now as well, because that is determined by random tick speed. So basically, if you have a farm for any of these things, it's going to be twice as fast now. Yay! So don't say that Mojang doesn't care about technical players or farms, because they just made like basically everything 2 times quicker. And with this, it's no longer going to random tick things in the void. Previously, random ticks were happening below the world where nothing can be grown, so that should no longer happen either, which is fantastic. If you learned something new in today's video, then drop a like as it helps out the video and the channel a ton. If you're new here, then maybe consider subscribing to help us reach 500,000 subscribers, and otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you down in those comments and in the next one. And then there was silence.